It's the moment where you realize you're a Manchester United fan. And it's something that I've come to, the emotions are running high after the disaster we saw yesterday with Manchester United playing Nottingham Forest and losing 2-1. There's a lot of emotions here right now that I've had to not do this video before early enough. So I kind of wanted to have a good night's sleep, think about it, understand where we are as Manchester United as the club and what happened. So if you've had a good party yesterday for the New Year's, 30th, 31st of December, Happy New Year. May 2024 be an amazing year for you. God bless you all. 2023 has been kind year, a lot of gratitude, a lot of love. So thank you everyone who's been a supporter, who's been with me on this journey, on the Sports with Mongha YouTube channel that I started sometime around, and it's just been slowly growing and growing. It just gives me a lot of joy that I continue doing, and you support me with this. So love your support. Do like this video, do subscribe to the channel. But today I'm a very reflective mood as a Manchester United fan who was going crazy midweek after what happened against Aston Villa, right? Manchester United came back from 2-0 down in the first half to 3-2. And that's what Manchester United is known for. Rasmus Højlund scoring his first goal. A lot of emotion. I was so proud. I'm like, this is the club that I love. And, it's always the club that I love and will always be the club that I love. But I need to call out things for the club as well when I don't like it. Like yesterday, Rasmus Højlund was injured. We didn't have a number 9. Rashford plays in the middle. Anthony on the right. We have Garnacho on the left. We have Menu playing. We have Bruno playing, and we have Eriksen playing. We have Lindelof. We have Varane. We have Van Bissaka, and we have who was playing the right, left. Diego Dallo, and Onana on goal. And that felt pretty, like the shape was pretty good, right? It was Manchester United was playing 4-2-3-1, basically. They're playing like the line. I think they were playing the same lineup as well against Aston Villa in a way. But it just felt flat. I think not having Rasmus Højlund completely changed the complexion of the game. It was 30 minutes and Manchester United has not made a shot on Nottingham Forest goal and Turner. So I was like, what's happening here? And Nottingham Forest with Elanga had a clear idea. Nuno Espirito Santo had a clear idea. He wanted to get the ball in from the left because Elanga was easily able to run out. And Dominguez was taking the spots that Dalot was kind of keeping open because he was too far ahead. And Van Bissaka was completely getting overrun by Elanga or Dominguez when they were switching sides. So as a Manchester United fan, I'm thinking, we're Manchester United. What's happening here? Why can't we just deal with Nottingham Forest and the defense and just hold the line, wait for the moments, but then we're always up. We're always trying to say, we are not going to change this. And I understand this goes to the manager, the way he manages the team, the way he kind of prepares the team for the match, and so on and so forth. But then eventually your players of Manchester United, you've had playing experience, you know what's happening at that moment on the pitch. So if you're expecting Ten Hag to be the one kind of blame Ten Hag on this, I am like, it's a very hard contrarian view that I have right now. I almost feel that Manchester United players do not want to play for Erik Ten Hag, or they just don't want to play for the badge. They just don't play for the badge. Like, it's so complacent. It's so simple. It's like they're like, okay, it's fine. We're losing 1-0, and it's so interesting. United conceded the first goal in the 64th minute with Nicolas Dominguez, and it was like, if you look at the goal again, if you see the goal, it was basically completely empty. Like it was such a simple pass. The line is completely. It was such a simple pass to see how the goal kind of was conceded. Dominguez is completely left unmarked in the center of the penalty area. And it's a simple ball. It's like a 2-touch pass. a two-touch pass, and Alanga passes to Muniel, and Muniel finds Dominguez completely unmarked, and Onana is like, he has nowhere. This can't happen. Manchester United, like I'm thinking about the talking between Dalot, talking between Varane, the talks between Varane and Lindelof, uh, the talks between, between the mid. I kept saying Lindelof, sorry, it's Johnny Evans. The talks between Dalot, Evans, Varane, and Eriksen or Menu. Somebody has to fall back. Or Menu had been subbed off already, and we had the brilliant Scott McTominay coming in, and somebody has to fall back to cover Dominguez. Can't leave him open in the center. Onana is not going to save those. He's not David De Gea. Manchester United, I understand this is the worst season for Manchester United, and the lowest points that they've ever been at the end of the mid. Like, it's just past the mid. We're out of Champions League. I don't think we're going to go far ahead in a lot of domestic champions as well, domestic cups as well. Premier League top four is definitely not a chance. Erik ten Hag definitely needs. This club needs a refresh. We've talked about this for over and over a year, a lot of time. Like, everybody's now hounding Erik ten Hag because everybody's like, it's been a year and a half. We hired him as the club and as a club manager, but we expected some of his tactics to work, like what worked in Ajax. But then you have to think about what is causing Erik ten Hag to not implement the same model as what he did in Ajax. The players that he had in Ajax were people who were willing to run like crazy for the badge and run amazing distances just to ensure that the plan that Erik ten Hag had worked. But now we have players who don't want to run. There's no tracking back. I'm like, what's happening? What is happening in this club? I have no idea. Why does nobody want to track back? The second goal from Morgan Gibbs-White, McTominay just leaves him. He just completely leaves them and he's just standing behind the half line. He's like jogging backward instead of kind of getting back to the point that he knows where the ball is going to get placed. These are things that I don't able to understand. Like, and Erik ten Hag goes on a press conference and says he backs his decision as Menu sub to McTominay. Of course, there's an outright call for his head right now. Everybody wants Ten Hag out, but then what's the alternative? Who can we get? We can't get Antonio Conte. Won't be. He will just destroy this club even more because he will basically he will not play. He will play the first. He will not even play the first team. He'll be like, what standards are these? You can't have Lopetegui. You can't have Hasenhüttl. You have Flick outside. Graham Potter is definitely one. But then you don't want you want somebody who has gravity. You want someone like Carlo Ancelotti. You want someone like Zidane who can come into that dressing room and tell these buggers and tell these players to kind of get their shit together. Manchester United, possibly the best decision that Sir Jim Ratcliffe can make is go to Zidane and tell him, you've done amazing at Real Madrid. You're a legend of this game. These players, you will have standards. You've shown standards that nobody can match. You need to go and can you join this club and help us save this club? This is what Ineos can think of, but they can't think of this in January. A January Erik ten Hag's sack will just be so premature because you need, because there's an audit going on as well. You need the audit to complete to understand what's the problem, what's causing Manchester United to not succeed as Man City or as Liverpool or even as Aston Villa. For God's sake, look at Aston Villa and Arsenal. What's causing? How are these top four clubs kind of coming up and Manchester is just going down and down? They're below Newcastle. They're below Manchester United right now are 7th, below Tottenham, below West Ham. Like, you have to understand there is something. Of course, there are injuries and, you can hide behind injuries and so on and so forth. But then the players that you have are still world class. You've paid 85 million for Anthony. I've waited for his left foot to shine, but it's not. Marcus Rashford You're in the edge of the box. The best thing he can do is a player blind backheel pass. What are we doing? I'm like the only player that I felt was like the live wire. Some I could see something he would do that could get us a goal, and that's what was Garnacho. He is a golden boy. We need to protect him. He cannot become complacent. You're playing Pilestri came in. You have Menu. You have to understand Menu will learn from this experience. You're putting him ahead of Amrabat, who you've paid money for. I don't think Amrabat gets the permanent move. That's something I feel that it's a short-term move till January. I don't think he gets a permanent move. I think Ineos will not even allow it to happen. They will basically be like, it's better to kind of hit this, like, forget the season. So as Manchester United fan, it's a mic drop moment. Forget this season. Forget it. There is nothing happening this season. We're not going to make top 4. We're not going to do anything in the FA Cup. It is just going to be survival. Finish just below, outside of top 4 will be the best thing we get. There is no chance with the players that we have, the crop that we have, we're going to get top 4. It's going to be disaster. It's going to be disaster. It's going to be painful, very, very painful. But summer, where Ineos finally has more ownership, they need to then make a choice. They need to think about what's their image of their club going to be? Because, the deal just happened. They're going to do an audit. They're going to do a review. But I definitely feel as an organization, as Ineos, who takes 25% of Manchester United and takes charge of football operations with 300 million and stuff and so on, you have to think from a very pragmatic company perspective. If you buy a company during a mid-year sales cycle, you don't start turning things immediately internally. You take your time, you understand how things function as the company that you've acquired, but then you start planning, okay, what can be integrated? How can we integrate it? What do we need there? Do we have the right people? Do we have the right resources? Do we have the right motivation? Do we have the right structure in the organization to kind of consume the other company, so that the people who've built the company, the other company that you've acquired, don't feel completely alienated, right? And this is what Ineos needs to do now. Ineos needs to do in complete, and that's what they're doing, the audit. But in summer, I think they will find a new manager that will be the face of the Ineos time, the Ineos era. And I don't think that will be Erik ten Hag. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, if he says he's an old Manchester United fan. He's been a lifelong Manchester United fan. So he knows what this player power has done. We've lost some really good managers. Of course, Ralph Rangnick, everybody forgets, but he had called this out 3 years back. 3 years back, he had called out the complacency and the player power at Manchester United. He had called us out, and everybody was like going for his head. Like, how can you say it? You're not a permanent manager as well. You're an interim manager. Mind your spot and so on. But everything he said was right. Everything he said was right. It is still, the club is rotten from the inside. The club is shit. The players do not play for the badge. There's some who just play for the money. £400,000 a week of wages. £350,000 a week of wages. That's insane money. Insane. And that's what Manchester United is right now. It's just a pump and dump. You kind of go in, and then you get the big bucks, and then you forget how to play football. There's no love, there's no anger, there's no frustration, there's no, the badge, there's no respect. Look at Nottingham Forest. Look at the way they played for the manager. Look at the way they play. They found the manager who believe, and they want the manager to believe in them. You can't call this a new manager bounce, whatever it is. But this is the way Gibbs-White was like going into tackles, the aggression, the adrenaline, the passion that he was playing with. Tell me a player on the Manchester United bench or in the playing 11 had the same. Garnacho, yes. Who else? Eriksen with the passes that he made, Bruno with whatever he was trying to do with, like, I'm like, everybody knows this now. You are going, like, this is not new. Either the tactics are not working, either the tactics are working, but the players are not working. Aston Villa against Aston, that was the only time I felt it was old Manchester United, where everybody was just like woken up, 2-0 down. What the hell are we doing? Today as well, Manchester United went 1-0 down, and that's the only time that they started playing. And then we went 2-1 down, and then everybody was like, we don't have enough time. We're done. Let's just not concede. There was no kind of going for the win. Like, you look at Manchester City, they go down and they hound the opposition. They completely take over. They are all over the opposition. You look at Arsenal, they go down, they're playing the defenses in the attacking box. They're like, why are we defending? We need to score. So the mindset is different. It's like a switch. Manchester United players just like switch off completely when they concede. And when they're like, oh, we don't have time. Other clubs just go for the win. They're like, okay, let's try for the win. Let's get the goal. Manchester United, in my mind, is going to have a very, very, as a fan, I'm going to already, in my mind, it's going to be a hard season. 2023 ended with a loss for Manchester United. I hope Manchester United has and starts with a win in 2024. The first game, and it's an amazing game. It's Manchester United will now play. I think they play in the, if I'm not wrong, they play in the FA Cup. Yes, against Wigan Athletic on 8th of January, and they play 6 days later to Tottenham Hotspurs home on 14th. The Wolves next, West Ham, Aston Villa. So tough fixtures, I would say, after Wigan. Like Wigan would be like a feel good if Manchester United wins. I'm not even counting that right now. But it kind of haunts me right now to see where Manchester United is. It's their 7th in the Premier League, but Nottingham Forest, with this win, are 15th. They've had some good results. Nottingham Forest beat Newcastle 3 days in midweek. So they were already pumped. Nottingham Forest play Blackpool in the FA Cup, third round on 7th of January, Brentford 20th of January, and 30th of January play Arsenal and they play Bournemouth in the return fixture, in the reverse fixture after they lost to 2-3 to Bournemouth. That was a crazy game as well. But that's kind of thing. Manchester United, Erik ten Hag, it's going to be a tough year. Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe needs to think about a lot of things to happen, changes to happen in Manchester United. Glazers will still want their money. They will not be now, like, nobody's taking Glazer out. You get my point? That's kind of the deflection. And I think they've done it for like a couple of years, that nobody's going to take Glazer out for quite some time because Ineos is now responsible for the football operations. And that's one thing you have to understand, the tactics of the business mindset. Manchester United is still owned by Glazers. They have ensured that this club has rotten from inside. Old Trafford needs a rebuild. Training facilities need a rebuild. Jadon Sancho needs to go. Anthony needs to go. Andre Onana, in my mind, needs to go. McTominay needs to go. Maguire and Evans need to leave. We need fresh blood. We need fresh blood in this club. Of course, players can come in, but then when they see the complacency around them, winners turn into losers. That's the mentality that we have. We get winners, Casemiro, Varane, Amrabat, Morocco, World Cup. Imagine the passion that this guy has. They're all winners of their own merit. They've done things in their own leagues and in their own home countries that Manchester United is just killing. They're not bad players, but then Manchester United has this side to them which kind of kills motivation and kills the hunger in somehow. Maybe it's the wages they get end of the week. Can you imagine? Manchester United lost Nottingham Forest to Nottingham Forest, but they're all going to get their fat checks, the wages that they get. They lost to Nottingham Forest. The last game of 2023, and they're still going to party and enjoy themselves on Christmas and on New Year's Eve. It's football, it's a game, it's nothing personal, but you have to understand that you need to think about all of things. There are humans, I understand there's a lot on the line. They put their bodies to a lot of stress to ensure, but then they get the big bucks for that as well. So and the love that they get when they win. We are Manchester United. We are Manchester United. We're Manchester United fans which love their players forever. But we need the passion and the craze that we have, that you players have for the badge as well. The badge is what you play for as Manchester United players. It's not you. We don't, as Manchester United fans, we're watching the club. We're not watching Bruno Fernandes scoring goals. We're not scoring. We're passionate about the club and the players that they have. But when the club does not do well, it's the club's responsibility to own up and the players' responsibility to own up as well. Nottingham Forest beat Manchester United 2-1. It's been a rant. 2023, I didn't want to end this like, but then Manchester United gave me no other option. Thank you for watching. If you watched this video till now, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I wish you a very happy new year and see you in 2024. Catch you next one.